Hey, everybody, welcome to this week. And well, what a week it has been. It's fantastic to be back here again in front of you all. It's great to see that we got some live people in already. We'll get to the chat GPT joke, compliments of Scott over there at Create, Save, and Invest. We'll get to that in a moment. I just want to welcome you all here, those of you who are here live, and also those of you who are catching this on the replay. So I appreciate you all. I know last week we had a really good turnout on the replay, so thank you to everybody who did that. It was just fantastic. So we got some stories, of course. From the title, it kind of gives you an idea of what our stories are about today. So we're going to definitely talk a little bit about the debt ceiling. We're going to talk about some pilot news, and we got a whole bunch of other stuff as well going on. In addition to that, I am going to test out. I mentioned that we were looking at a free membership. So we're going to take a look and see if we can take care of that as well. Just give me 1 second. I have a small snafu happening over here. I am going to fix it. There we go. Perfect. All right. Yeah, we have a rate hike, as Vic has said. There is a rate hike that is coming out. So that is kind of interesting. And we got a little bit of news on rate hikes as well. So we're going to talk about a lot of different stuff today. But right away, I want to... Holy banana bread. Let's give me a second here. All right. All right. Now, one of the things I said I wanted to do is I wanted to look at giving a gifted membership every month. And I was going to try to do that last week. So I am going to try to do this. Now, I don't choose who gets the membership. There's an algorithm that does it, and it's based on, I don't know, it's based on, I think, the amount that you interact with the chat or the channel. I'm not entirely 100% sure, but we're going to find out here as we attempt to do this. All right. All right. So we have gifted one membership. Somebody has got it. Does it not tell us who? All right. Yeah, it does on the other one. It doesn't show me in my, I'm using StreamYard, and in StreamYard, it isn't showing me who got it. So this one went to Allison. There we go. Well, congratulations. Welcome to the channel, members. And we're going to do this every month. I'm going to throw one of those out there. So all you have to do, I guess, is the more you show up, the better your chances of getting it. I think it depends on, it's just the way the algorithm works. So that is kind of cool. And you know what? Here, give me 1 more second. Because I'm late, I'm going to do just one more, and then we'll call it good till February. So let me, whoops, give me a second here. I just figured this out, like, quite literally just before the stream. All right, here we go. And bang. All right, so somebody else has one as well. We'll find out who. I'm looking over at the other screen to find out who it is. All right, Sigh Seekers. Oh, banana bread. Okay. Anyway, Sigh Seekers is a test account. So I'm like, how the hell did it get one of those? That's not even a test account. I had another channel, Sigh Seekers. It was my science channel. I've actually got a few different videos on it. I don't plan to really do anything with it. So I'm like, what the heck? I can't believe it went and won. Anyway, it's weird. It's definitely weird. Just give me 1 more second. I'm going to do one more because there is absolutely no way that I want one of you guys to win that. I don't want it to go to something really weird. Okay, give me 1 second. We're pulling it up. We're doing this one last time. Hopefully third time here is a charm. And all right, there we go. So somebody else has just won. And I want to see one of you guys' names that I have actually seriously? It gifted to my personal account. I cannot believe it. Oh my God. This is kind of cursed. This algorithm needs to be fixed. Yeah, I won. Wow. Holy cow. I'm sorry. That is just really, really, really funny. Oh, wow. All right. We'll get back to this a little bit later. Let's say hello to everybody, and then we're gonna get to the news. We're gonna start with Scott's GPT joke. At least Allison won, so somebody won. That's just weird. All right, so here it is. Chat GPT joke for you. Why did the banana bread go to the stock market? To see if it could rise to the top and make some dough. Nice. That joke was kind of appealing. Um, and Vic said, nice joke. Good to see you in here, Vic. Hey, Bleak. Fantastic to see you. Scott says, hello, everyone. January 25th, Canada rate. Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I like free. Hello, Trevor. Great to see you. Hi, Jay. It is fantastic to see you. Just mentioning Allison over here. Congrats. Scott, Bitcoin to booze made no sense. I have no idea what that is either. Nothing wrong with buying something for yourself. Oh my God, Candace won. Yeah, that's embarrassing. Pay yourself first is what they say. Also funny if you have multiple personalities. That would be hilarious. All right. Let's get to our first story. I want to just let's get one under our belt. So the big story of the week, of course, was the U.S. debt ceiling. And I know a lot of people don't understand the debt ceiling. So in a nutshell, the debt ceiling is basically, it's a cap on debt that the federal government in the U.S. Basically is a cap that says, hey, you cannot borrow any more than this amount. And currently it's set at $31.4 trillion. Now, they hit that number on Thursday. Now, here's the interesting thing. Since they began the debt ceiling way back in, oh God, around World War II-ish, it's been raised 100 times. The last time it was raised was in December of 2021. So if you don't raise it, what ends up happening is basically the government they default, because if they can't borrow, they can't pay. They can't pay, for example, Social Security, veteran benefits, or all of the federal employees' salaries for that matter. So that's kind of the big thing with the whole debt ceiling, not secretary. I was about to talk about Janet Yellen, who is now the Treasury Secretary. Now, here's the interesting thing. This debt ceiling, when it's hit, they normally have to take a vote to increase it. And that's generally what happens. Although right now we're pretty much deadlocked between the Democrats and the Republicans. They are not, neither side wants to budge. So Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen basically says she's taking some extraordinary measures. So we're not sure exactly what that is, but basically the Treasury is basically creating some measures to allow money to flow. But those measures are only going to last until June. So by June, they have to come to a solution. They have to either raise the debt ceiling or default. And the way it's looking, it could be bad. If we default, well, not so much Canada, but if the US were to default on the debt and basically result in a lockdown of the government, when this happens, normally the market will fall. I think the last time it happened, the market fell 20%. So could be a very red June if this doesn't get itself worked out by then. I'm hoping it gets worked out because, you know, it's just one of those things I don't want to see. Let's see, what else do we have in here? And then, hi, says Patricia. There's another Candace in the chat. No. I tried to randomly give away a membership, Patricia, and somehow it decided that it randomly would give it to my other account. I cannot believe that happened. I'm still like, I'm like, holy banana bread. That's just insane. But anyway, that's what happened. And Vic says, the US GDP equals 24 billion, but debt is 31 billion. Imagine if we ran our household finances this way. Well, the debt's actually 31 trillion. So not a billion. It's up in the trillions. That's a lot of debt. Absolutely. Last time was 2011. And the SP 500 dropped 7% in one day. Yeah, it dropped really fast, but 20% in total, it went down over that lockdown. So we definitely do not want to get into that situation. And Patricia is laughing. Yeah, I think I blushed, and I think yeah, I almost cracked up because that was kind of funny. Paul says, "Hope everyone is having a great weekend. I'll have to watch this on the replay." No problem, Paul. I love the folks watching this on the replay because actually, to be honest, um, I would say we get about almost 3 times as many people who watch this on the replay than are here in the live show. So, you know, that is awesomeness. Patricia asks, "Are we in a bull market?" No, we're not. We are experiencing a little bit of a bounce. I wouldn't even call it a bull bounce, but you can because it is an upward bounce. I still think we still have a bottom yet to come in. I believe that's going to be in the spring, towards the end of the spring, maybe worst case late summer. But I do think we still have a little bit more to fall before we start getting a turnaround. Because you got to remember, we also have this whole recession thing coming in. It would be kind of crazy to be in a bull market as a recession runs in, because that normally does not work that way. But I think we're going to have a short recession. So I think we're probably already even in the beginnings of the recession. We just haven't called it yet, which in that case, we got a little ways to go. We're going to bottom out. I see a bull market, though, coming this year. I'm thinking it's going to come in the fall. And that's what's going to be really great. That's one of the things, too, behind the whole FIQ thing. And Jill is working on that. I think she's finished filming it. So we had some difficulty. We are going to film it yesterday and try to get it out yesterday as well. But there was a little bit of issues with the camera and the filming and some of the equipment. And we got it all fixed up today. It's looking good. Now, I have a video that comes out tomorrow. So we probably are not going to drop the FIQ tomorrow. We'll probably drop it Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on how much editing I have to do on it. But that's what I'm thinking is probably going to happen with that. But that FIQ, it ties into the bull market, because with a channel like this, as we move into better times, that's when the investors start coming back. We got you guys. You guys are all of the, you guys are all the seasoned pros now, but all of the new people start flooding in. So FIQ is going to be a series that's really going to take things back to the basics for a lot of these newer people that pop in. Because I always know that when I'm talking, I'm like, we've been doing this for a while. So sometimes I just take for granted that, people are at a specific level. But FIQ is designed to help people increase their level, get caught up with the rest of the channel. And, as we all move on together. All right. And Joe says, "I wish they would just raise the debt ceiling automatically." Yeah, I agree. One of the interesting things I've seen is I think there was a senator that tweeted out, and they were saying, why do we even need a debt ceiling? They should just do away with the debt ceiling completely. So I think they should. I mean, because they're going to continue to raise it. And even the fact that they tie things up and waste so much time fighting over something as simple as that, when there's other problems that probably their time would be better spent on. Yeah, get rid of the debt ceiling. That would be my opinion. Jill says hi. And Vic says, sorry, my figures should have all been in trillions. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that, Vic. Awesome. Jill says, I tried the free membership but failed. Sorry. Yes, filming is done. So many technical problems. And that's fine. That's fine. Can't wait for the new Bond video. Yeah. It's gonna be double O fun. That's what it's gonna be. So that's probably gonna stick now that I said it. All right, let's quickly move into our next little story. And this is the second part of the title. There is now a commercial pilot shortage. So, we've had food shortages. We've had every type of shortages out there, but now we have a pilot shortage. So here's the interesting thing. In Canada, while we do need more pilots, the number of new licenses issued has actually dropped more than 80% since 2019. Obviously, the pandemic played a part of that, but we're now just in a situation that we're running into a shortage here. And it's not just Canada. The global aviation industry is actually projecting a worldwide pilot shortage of about 82,000 by 2032. Holy banana bread. That's a lot of planes that we're going to have to get robots to fly, I guess. And here's an interesting thing. With these pilot shortages in Canada, we're also seeing the cost of air travel go up. Obviously, inflation is playing part of that and the higher price of fuel. But In 2022, the price of air travel went up 41.5%. And to top all that off, between Air Canada and WestJet, they keep canceling routes. I think just recently, Air Canada canceled their Calgary to Saskatchewan flights. WestJet's been canceling a lot of their eastern flights. Now, there have been some allegations that the two of them are in cahoots, because it seems like Air Canada cancels flights, but WestJet keeps their flights, and it sort of works in both directions. So it's almost like they're trying to cover everything one by one, but they claim that that's not true. But it's kind of interesting. It'd be, I think the whole flying thing is going to be an interesting thing to take a look at in the future for sure. Are these prices going to keep going up? I don't know, but we're going to see. All right. So new discount airlines also gobbling up pilots. Yeah, absolutely. And these discount airlines are probably going to be the way. I mean, who wants to pay a lot for air flight if you can, if you can take a, one of these discounted airlines? Saskatchewan losing many routes. Yeah, it's not good to be in Saskatchewan if you want to fly. Now, you still got a lot of the WestJet ones there, but Air Canada's, they're getting a little bit sparse in there. So that's one of those things just to keep in mind. All right, next little story we have is the U.S. had their PPI come out. So that's your Producer Price Index. So PPI, basically, it's a very solid indication of inflation because the numbers are set by the producers of the goods opposed to the stores. Now, I was just thinking here for a second. So basically what they're doing is this measurement, it basically takes in metrics like how much it takes to produce the goods, so costs actual of materials, things like that, and as well the common market value. Now, that number came out this week, and it actually declined by 0.5%, and this is for the month of December. Now, they expected it to only decline by 0.1%, so that's actually a good indication that inflation is moving in the right direction in the U.S. as well, which is definitely really, really, really good. Now, we're going to have a little bit more on inflation in a little bit here. Let's see here. Jill says, and someone has an air transit video this Thursday. Yes, someone does. The battle this Thursday is going to be Air Canada versus Air Transit. So that should be a good one. And now here's the thought. I'll throw this out here. And I've tentatively scheduled this. So not this week, but the following week, I was thinking of doing that super battle. So a massive cage match battle between the big six banks. Now, this would be not a single video. You just can't do that in a single video. So what I'm thinking of doing is the week after this, we'll do, the Monday, the Thursday, and the Saturday video will be round 1, 2, and 3 of this big cage match. So all 6 banks fighting it out. So I think that could be really, really cool. So that's tentatively for that week. I think it's going to go ahead. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on that, because that would be kind of cool. And let's see, Scott says, discount airlines sound good until there is a flight delay. Yeah, a lot of times Air Canada and WestJet do get preference over some of the discount lines. So that is something to keep in mind if time is a factor. And let's see here. And Sandra says, hi, what do you think about dir.un.to? DIR. I'd have to look that one up. I'm not sure which one they are. They sound like they could be a REIT. But give me a second. Let me just pull this up very quickly here for you. Boo, ba, doo, boo, boo. I just need my main site. DIR. Dream Industrial Real Estate Investment Trust. I'm just pulling up, taking a quick, yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at some of their movement. I'm actually liking the way that their growth looks. I'd have to dig a bit deeper in it to give you a full idea on exactly what I think, but I like the way their growth is, where they have fallen. There's a good reason. I see a pandemic fall and then bear market fall, but they seem to be recovering really well from both of those. So that is not too shabby at all. They got a half decent dividend yield up above 5%. All right. And what are they looking at? Open-ended real estate trust, key markets across Canada and the US. Cash. Yeah. Nothing on the surface has me concerned at all about them. I would, of course, want to just dig a little bit deeper, but yeah, they don't look too bad, Sandra. I would, there would be worth, like normally there's some stocks you can look at and you can just see right away from the surface data. You're like, yeah, no, I really don't think I want these stocks. This is one that does look pretty good. I am actually thinking of, it would be after the week where we do the bank battle. I think I'm due for another video too, so I'll keep them on my radar for that one as well, because then I can dig a little bit deeper into them, which would be kind of cool. All right, now we actually have some FTX news. So our good old friend Sam Bankman-Fried is in the news again. Now, what happened is that federal prosecutors have now seized more money. So they've managed to recover another 700 million in assets from FTX from Sam. Now, most of the money was actually from his Robinhood stock. They were able to get $525 million by selling his Robinhood shares. They also were able to recover 94.5 million in cash from Silvergate Bank. That's a Bahamas bank. And then another branch of that Silvergate Bank, they were able to get another 7 million. So they're slowly getting some money from him. Now, he is currently out on bail, and his trial, I believe it's going to be in October. So we'll have to see how this goes. Now, speaking of FTX, Genesis actually declared bankruptcy. So another crypto exchange, but we all kind of seen that coming with Genesis. So it's not a surprise that this is happening. And the funny thing is, while all these exchanges and all the dust is settling, Bitcoin is doing a little bit better, starting to climb here. And here's what's happening, though. The climb with Bitcoin, people are like, why is it happening? And one of the reasons is that there's a lot of whales gobbling up cheap Bitcoin right now. So, that's they're looking forward to the future. I always, despite sometimes I come off a little bit bullish on crypto, I always think long term, it's definitely a good buy, but you're going to have to be very patient, I think, with it. Even though right now, I think it's up around 23,000. So that's not too shabby, but if we do get that bottom of the market in the spring, we're probably going to see another drop in Bitcoin. Now, I initially thought, when I did, I think, my prediction video, I thought it had a possibility of getting down to 10,000, but I'm thinking I'm pretty much wrong on that. I don't think it'll get down to 10,000, but it might get down to maybe 15, but we'll have to sort of see how that goes. But here's the thing. If that does happen and you are a holder of Bitcoin, don't sell, just hold on, ride it out. It's not going to be this is not going to be a long, prolonged bottom, I don't think. So, of course, we'll have to see. A lot of times, too, you don't really know until after the fact, because where Patricia asked earlier, are we in the bull market now? All indications are we shouldn't be. Everything says we got a recession coming. Everything says that the bottom is not in when you look at indicators, everything from inverse rates on bonds. We're just not there. But, everything is kind of weird. We're in kind of, normally when people say, well, it's never been this way before. Well, in this case, it kind of is, because this was all predated by this whole pandemic. And if the bottom is already in, we may not know this for months, maybe even years. It's always a possibility that it happened and it was such a weird bottom that we can't recognize it yet as a bottom. But the indicators do indicate that the bottom is still to come, and I'm pretty much gonna stand by that, I think. Yeah, and that's gonna be good because there'll be more buying opportunities. Probably our last chance to buy a lot of our favorite stocks at discount prices. So that's one of those nice little things. All right. Brian is in the house. Relax, I'm here. Oh, thank God, Brian. I was so stressed out without you. We got our Zapper. Hello, everyone. Cisco says, also, he said the 5 billion is there. Well, that would be nice. 15 would be nice. Buy more. Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the interesting things, and you guys won't see this unless you're a channel member. The channel members get to see everything that I do. But what I was going to say is that I actually sold out of my BTCY position. I moved it over to the Tesla yield position because they're just paying a crazy amount of dividends right now. And so I wanted to get that moved over. I also, another move that I made as well is I sold out of my POW. So that's my power company of, Canada Power Company, Power Company of Canada. Anyway, I sold out of them because the crazy amount of dividends from Torlamine, I needed to get into Torlamine a little bit more. So I have done that as well. Now, like I said, every move I make, that channel members get to see it, and they also get that additional video. So any of you guys who are interested in doing that, just click on that link down below. Now, you can also gift channel memberships because I apparently gifted one to myself, which is hilarious. But that's pretty crazy. So Chad says hello. BTC to YTSL. I think it's YTSL. I don't think the A is there. Not a bad trade. Absolutely. What is the dividend? So the yield currently is about 24% on that. And here's the beautiful thing. Tesla has actually been doing okay the last week. And I was looking at those stocks and they are up pretty much. I was up like a couple $100 in my portfolio on them. I was like, oh, well, wow, that's kind of cool. Wasn't really expecting that. But here's the difference. When BTCY came out, crypto was at a high. So if you bought into that at the beginning of the BTCY life, you've lost a lot of money. You're getting a good dividend, but you have lost a lot of money because that price came down. These ones were much closer to the bottom. So when you're buying any of the purpose yield ones, you're getting in closer to the bottom. So those prices are going to go up. So you're going to get some growth from them and you're going to get some really good dividends. So that is kind of good. And YTSL, exactly. I couldn't find it. Some places, because they're brand new, you can't find it. So for example, I have, I use a Google Finance just because it gives me the square thing in my portfolio so I can look at all the squares. And I cannot enter in my YTSL. And I also can't put in the QQCC because it hasn't recognized that one yet either. So that does happen with some of these, but hopefully they get those pretty darn soon. Quick little short story, Airbnb. So you hear of a lot of people having Airbnb as a side hustle. Well, a report came out this week saying that in the US, the average Airbnb, so anybody using Airbnbs, their average salaries from their Airbnbs came out at $44,235. Holy banana bread. I did not realize Airbnbs were that profitable, but apparently they are. So I'd love to see the same. I'd love to see the same statistic for Canada. I couldn't find it, but that would be really interesting to see. Now, we have had some layoffs. This has also been a week of layoffs, which if you think about a recession coming, we got layoffs coming. So Alphabet, so Google, they laid off 12,000. Now, part of their reason is they're trying to restructure because they want to restructure and allocate a whole bunch of their resources towards AI. Now, of course, Google is a little bit worried because ChatGPT has been taking things by storm, and I think it's unsettled them a little bit. Microsoft also laid off 10,000, and Microsoft is looking to add ChatGPT to all of its products. So that's a little bit interesting. On this side of the border, Lightspeed, they laid off 10% of their workforce. Now that sounds probably bad, but that's like 300 people. Now, Lightspeed has been in trouble. They have been plummeting without a parachute. Their share price has actually dropped 80% since they peaked back in 2021. So they're hurting a little bit. So, and that's the thing, we're still seeing those layoffs in tech, but I think a lot of tech when everything was booming back in 2021, a lot of them did overhire. You always have to keep that in mind. A lot of tech overhired, and now they're sort of streamlining. So some of these layoffs are not as bad as they seem, especially when you think about like the layoffs that Amazon made. Um, People were buying so much from Amazon, they needed all those all those extra bodies. So a lot of the layoffs with Amazon was basically just getting rid of all of the bloated in their employees that they had. Now, some of it, of course, is also cost cutting. I know that Amazon also got rid of this week a one of their charity programs where you could donate so much towards different charities. And I think they just said that they just didn't have they just didn't want to put the manpower in, and it wasn't really giving them at least providing as much money to the charity as they had hoped. So, okay. Got a little story on healthcare. So Ontario has said that they're going to start sending some of their easier surgeries, like hip replacements, things like that, to private hospitals. And they've also, in addition to that, they've said they're going to fast track certifications to get people into healthcare positions if you're moving to Ontario from the rest of Canada. So it's like I think the rest of Canada is probably like, no, we don't need our people moving to your province. But that is kind of one of those things that are happening. Healthcare is kind of a big. I guarantee you, the next federal election, whether it be 2025 or sooner, I think healthcare is going to be one of the probably big tickets. Although, if you listen to Justin Trudeau, you think it was going to be climate change, but I think healthcare might trump it in the next election. So we'll have to sort of see how that goes. Hopefully they get something together. I mean, Nova Scotia had two people who actually died one of them died after leaving the emergency room because she'd been there for like a whole day and decided to go home because they told her that nobody could see her till the next day. And then she died at home. But yeah, I mean, when people start dying in an emergency room because they haven't been able to see doctors, I mean, that shows there's definitely some issues there that need to get resolved. Absolutely. Okay, so we just got through the holidays. We're starting to get some holiday information. Now, in Canada, we actually had a 0.5% increase in retail sales in December compared to November. So sales went up a little bit in Canada. So there's a little bit of spirit, I guess, people buying some stuff. Now, in the US, those December sales actually fell 1.1%. So people in the US perhaps not spending as much as in Canada, which makes sense because I think the US is closer to a recession than we are in Canada. We're both probably going to get one, but I think the US is probably at that point where I think if either one of us is in a recession right now and doesn't know it, it would be the US. So let's just sort of keep that in mind. Now, we were talking a little bit, I think Vic brought up about rate hikes. We'll talk a little bit about the Fed one first. What's really interesting is there was some information that came out from Fed Governor Lael Brainard. Now, she said that, or is that a he? I don't know. Lael. Lael Brainard. Does anybody know who that is? I don't know. But Lael said that they need to stay the course as inflation, even though there's signs of it coming down, it's still, you have to keep it in perspective that it's still at a 4-decade high. So from words like that we're getting out of the Fed governor, it really makes it seem like they're not planning to stop the rate hikes anytime soon in the US. Now, most people are still thinking that we're looking at about a 25 basis points. February 1st is when we're going to find out. Now, we're going to find out about the Bank of Canada sooner. Now, most analysts are thinking 25 here as well, but that this will be the last one and they'll sort of ease off for a bit. We'll have to see if that's what happens. I think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to see 25 this week coming up. And I think they may even say we're gonna probably sit back and we're gonna see what happens after that. Because you have to realize with these rate hikes, it takes a while for them to filter the actual effects to filter into the system. So they could, and I think they might even go as far as to say, we're going to do a 25 basis point this time. We're going to sit back. We're probably going to not do it next time. But if we see any slowdown in our dropping of inflation, if it seems to be stalling, we're going to come back and raise those points up. We're going to come back and do some more. So it'll be really interesting to see. So let's see here. So did the Walmart stock go down? I do not know what has happened with Walmart. I don't really invest in Walmart, even though I think Walmart is probably a nice, good blue chip stock, just for the simple reason that, like a dollar store, you'll get a lot of people going to Walmart before they go to more higher retail places. And Walmart also has really good prices on food. So I think that's going to help them a bit. Now, Chad thinks that we're going to get 50 basis points. Scott's thinking 25 basis points for the Bank of Canada. And Chad's agreed that most people think it's 25, but he's holding out. I think Chad's thinking the 50. I would be surprised if we got 50. I think the market would not like a 50, although keep in mind too that usually it's the US ones that drive the market a little bit more, but I'm hoping it's a 25. I think people are sort of, especially people who have a lot of debt. I think they're kind of strained already as it is. So let's hope it's only 25, and then maybe give us a couple of months to let these hikes catch up and see whether or not they have gone far enough. Because I know there are some people that are of the opinion that they're going to say, like, well, let's just go too far and then we can cut later. That is one philosophy. But it comes really right down to I don't think people in general can afford to go too far and then cut back later. But we'll have to see. It really depends. I think a lot of it always depends on the jobs. If those job numbers keep staying strong, like Tiff Macklin might be like, well, the job numbers are still strong. We can handle a few more rate hikes just to make sure we get this under our under our belt. And that's right, Chad. So some of the interest rates, back in the 70s and 80s were crazy high compared to what we have today. So people can afford it. It's just that people have gotten used to having low interest rates, and people have sort of built their lives around it. So it's one of those things. It's like, if you're really, really wise and you're a borrower and you're borrowing stuff, always be prepared for your rates to be going up, much higher, because then you'll never get into a situation where you get sort of, like people who, for example, got anything in the middle of the pandemic when rates were next to zero. They had to know those rates were going to go back up. Now, people who did get in and got nice long-term at a fixed are probably saying, haha, I'm good for a little bit. But it's going to be a shock for their systems when that term runs out, and then they're looking at whatever the rates are going to be then. But at least they're not watching their rates go up and up and up and up right now. So if I had a next to zero interest loan, and let's say it was like for 5 years, I would be doing my best to try to get as much of that principal paid before the end of that 5 years, because you're going to be paying significantly more once that term is up. So that'll be interesting. Debt Drunk Society. That kind of reminds me of Dead Poet Society, but that's actually funny. Twin World Game Reviews, 2.09% 5-year fixed. Nice. That is a very nice rate. And like I said, Twin World, if you have the ability to pay off some of that principal before the end of that 5 years, definitely do that. Because you'll be so much better off when all of a sudden, you no longer have that beautiful rate at the, when you have to renew. So keep that in the back of your mind as we're doing that. All right. So Netflix, a little news on Netflix. So Netflix had their earnings report come out, and they actually missed on their earnings. They were projected to have an EPS of 0.45. They came in at 0.12. Interestingly enough, though, their revenue came in exactly as expected, 7.85 billion, and they did it really good with the new subs. So they anticipated 4.57 million new subs. They actually came in at 7.66 million new subs. So Netflix they're slowly moving in the right direction, but we'll have to see. It's going to be interesting to see how this whole streaming war is going to come out in the end. So that'll be really, really interesting, I think, just to check this out. And it was actually really interesting. The other day, I found a YouTube video on the most popular TV shows, and they were playing it over a time frame. And it was really interesting. Once we got into the age of streaming, as you were watching some of these shows, how they were dominating everything. Network TV wasn't even a blip compared to some of these shows like Game of Thrones. And but what really got interesting is that when some of the Marvel Plus, Disney Plus Marvel titles hit, like Loki and WandaVision. At one point, Loki and WandaVision were 1 and 2, and they were like creaming network television. And it's like, holy banana bread. Because, I always see all these crazy articles on YouTube. I actually watch them, but they're like, Disney Plus upset because Loki sucks so bad. I'm like, what are you talking about? Some of these shows were dominating, like The Mandalorian as well was up there at the top, like for a long time. I was like, holy cow. So they're definitely making some money. That's really, really good. So anyway, just a side note on those. And let's see here. Twin World says, I'm hoping the rates come back down before the term is over. Yes, they're going to come back down, but they're not going to come back down to where they were, because those rates were low on purpose because they were trying to do everything they could to stimulate the economy and try to keep a recession from sort of happening at that point. So we're now kind of in the opposite place, but wow. Cisco says Bank of Nova Scotia has a GIC at 5.6%. I locked up $250,000 for 388 days. That's not too shabby. That's a good little chunk of change there, Cisco. And 5.6 on it. Why not? Why not? And Vic says, you have that much money. Wow. Yeah. Everybody. Well, the object is hopefully, from, being involved in this community and in the investing world in general, hopefully you're entering with a certain amount of money, and by the end you have a lot more. That's kind of the whole general idea, because I want to see everybody grow their wealth as we move around. And here's an interesting thing. Tomorrow's video is another quick look in my TFSA. It's not the way that we've done it in the past. We're just taking a look at the top 10 stocks that I have in my entire portfolio. And we're seeing which ones have the craziest returns, the best returns that are on them over the last 365 days. So we're going to do the top 10. And then at the end, I do my 3 biggest stinkers for the year. So you'll get to sort of see that. And there's some crazy numbers in there. Like if you look at my top 10, you'll be like, what? We're in a bear market? How can we be in a bear market when your top 10 have all made crazy amounts of returns? But check that out tomorrow and you'll sort of see what I'm talking about. I was just like, yeah, these are some good numbers. So that I find pretty darn cool. All right. And this is a long month. Yeah. Vic, it sounds like you got the January blahs. January always seems to take forever. That's because, everybody's doing the festive stuff in December, and December just flies by. Heck, basically the entire fall flies by, and then we hit January. And January just takes its good old time. But we'll be in February soon enough, Vic. I promise. I really, really do. Hockey Nut, is it possible to buy a GC and put it in your TFSA if you have the cap room? Oh, excuse me. Oh, that's a good question. I don't, well, I know Wealthsimple doesn't offer that, but check it with your bank, because I think there are some banks where you can actually move like GICs and things like that into your TFSA. But here's the thing though. Your GIC has its own rate, return rate anyway, but you're just trying to get the tax benefits, right? So let me double check that one for you, Hockey Nut. And I'll get back to you on it, because I've never really looked at that, but I think it should be possible, but I do not want to say it absolutely is without double checking. Give me a second here. It is Hockey Nut. So there we go. Twin World says it's possible. So I thought it was, but I'd like to take a little gander at that anyway. Chad says, have you seen the video? BNS closed out all its accounts in 30 days. Can't come into it banks without written permission. Yes, I did see that. So in a nutshell, there's a veteran, but now the reason they basically fired him as a customer, and the best guess most people are thinking is that it was because he was supporting the convoy, and for whatever reason the bank said, we just don't want anything to do with him without giving him any recourse. That's about all I know from the video, so I don't know the full story of what's going on there to really have an opinion on it, but he's probably better off to unbank and maybe get himself a better bank, like like EQ Bank, or there's a lot of good banks out there that aren't going to charge you all the service fees. But still, I've never heard of a bank divorcing someone before, because they want your money, but they don't want his money. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Definitely not a good scene. And Scott says, yup. Twin World says, you buy the GIC in the TFSA. All right, there you go. Let's see. The problem is TD has a low rate, or you can open a GIC with another vendor and open another TFSA with them. Yeah, you can have more than one TFSA. Just keep in mind, when you start having multiple TFSAs, your contribution limit is the same, and you have to sort of add the two of them up to make sure you don't go over your contribution limit. So that's kind of the whole thing. What convoy? It was that whole trucker thing. I think it was all in relation to the trucker thing in Ottawa. BNS supports Ukrainian. Maybe, I don't know about that. Let's see here. Using RBC discount brokerage allows me to buy a GIC, but minimum is $3,500. Can get a lower, of course, with a regular TFSA account. Yeah, absolutely. There we go. EQ Bank lets you buy GICs in a TFSA. Hockey Nut. I have my emergency funds there. There we go. Absolutely. And here's the beautiful thing with EQ Bank. They're now coming out with their own little bank card. So it's like a debit card, like a prepaid card. But the beautiful thing is if you put, let's say you put $200 on that card, that $200, even if it's sitting on that card and you don't use your card, it's still getting their 2.5% interest on it. So you're still gaining interest on the stuff you put on your card. So that's kind of cool. Scott says you can open a TFSA account at any FI financial institution, Hockey Nut. Just keep track of your contributions. Exactly. And that's one of those things to do, because once you go over, then they do, it's actually quite a high fine that they level on you. And it's like monthly. So it adds up pretty fast. So you don't want to be going over. Let's see. Is FHSA, okay. First home buyers account. That is, I believe it's coming out in April. So I'll do a video as we get closer to it. So don't worry about that. But it is happening. All right. And let's see here. Why aren't y'all using the Mogo trade via Wealthsimple? To be honest, the reason I don't use Mogo is at the time it first came out, I still needed to get my ID updated to Ontario. I have done that now, but I'm happy enough with all of the services I have on Wealthsimple. Although, here's the thing. Um, there's a part of me that thinks I might even move out of Wealthsimple and just drop it all into National Bank because they have US accounts as well. And I wouldn't be paying that $10 a month, but I have not remotely decided that. It's just a thought that popped into my head because I do like the way things are set up within the brokerage there. All right, Twin World says, yeah, the EQ bank card is powered through MasterCard, except where MasterCard is allowed, which is pretty much most places. I heard April 1st. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, April. And thanks for the clarification. No April Fools, FHSA. Yeah, and they keep changing the rules as well on that first home buyer's account. Initially, it was only available to people who were under 40, and then they changed that because there was an uproar about that. And now their definition of first-time home buyers, I believe they've altered that a little bit too. So before it used to be, well, if it's your first home, then yes. But now it's like if you haven't done it within, I think, 4 years, don't quote me on that 4 years. I'm going to have to double check it when I do the research for that video when I make it. I'll double check all the facts and get that down for you. But I do think I think it's something like 4 years. As long as you haven't bought a house in 4 years, and you're considered a first time. I don't know how they call that first, but that appears to be what they're doing with that. All right. Holy banana bread. All right, next story. The federal government, they're looking to unveil, well, they have unveiled 600. Where the heck is my head today? So the federal government have unveiled a $360 million quantum strategy. So what this is, it's basically focused on investing in quantum tech and securing Canada's spot as a leader in that space. So from what I understand, the money is going to be set aside for research and development, attracting talent, and commercializing any new technology that comes out of that. So quantum, we're talking things like, for example, quantum computers, which are going to be a game changer when it comes to computers, because currently a computer works in binary. So basically you got switches that are on or off. But what happens is in a quantum computer is that it can exist in an on state, it can exist in an off state, or it can exist in both on and off at the same time, because it's kind of follows the whole rule of quantum mechanics. And what this does is it allows for much faster processing, because you're not locked into a on off. You're locked into all kinds of different variations and different probabilities and different quantum states. And that creates an insane amount of extra processing power. So that's going to be really, really, really interesting. All right. And Jay has a thumbs up. Yay, Jay. All right. I still got a few stories left. Wow. And we're like ticking deeper into the show. So China, we have a China story. So according to the National Bureau of Statistics, China's population actually decreased back in 2022. This is the first decline that they've had since about the 1960s. So that's kind of interesting. So mainland China's population, it fell by 850,000 people in 2022, dropping down to 1.41 billion people. Now, China's population is apparently on track to dwindle even further. So the UN is expecting China by 2050 to be down by about another 109 million people. That's more than triple the decline that it initially had thought was going to occur with China. So as China's population is dropping, we have India, and they're actually predicted this year, if it hasn't, it may have already happened, but they're predicting this year to actually pass China and become the number one country, the number one most populous country in the world. Now, some of the ramifications of this, of course, is that One of the reasons China can make a lot of products cheap is because they have so much manpower. As they start losing the manpower, it could affect that. They may not be able to make things as cheaply anymore as they start running into labor issues. But of course, if India is able to sort of pick up that slack, this might be a good boon for India to make India a lot more money. Why did it fall? Deaths from COVID? Partially, partially. That's definitely some of it. But I think a lot of it too. At one point, they had where China's population was growing so fast, they had that whole one-child ideology for a while. So I think they're at this just a situation where people aren't having as many kids. You've got a lot of older people who are dying. So baby boomers there, because the whole baby boomers is an issue everywhere. Even in Canada, we're in a situation where our population would be, would not be that thriving as much as it is now if it weren't for the fact that we're bringing in so many people through immigration. So that's an interesting thing, and I think that's happening in a lot of different places worldwide. All right, now we got one last story for the day, and it's all about, well, shoplifting food. So shoplifting food is becoming a big thing. Now, according to industry data, an average size food retail store in Canada can have between $2,000 and $5,000 worth of groceries stolen from them every single week. This is just amazing. That's a lot of stolen food. And apparently it's becoming a trend. There's people who are going on Twitter and bragging about how much food they're stealing. And I understand, I mean, with food prices being so high, and everything being high, I mean, in addition to food, some people probably don't have much of a choice. It's like, okay, well, do I steal this loaf of bread or do I let my kids starve? Well, in a situation like that, I think a lot of people are going to pick to steal that loaf of bread. But it's a situation, and here's the problem, though, is if people are stealing this much food, what that's doing is the store has to make up that money somehow. And they do it by increasing prices. So because of all of this theft, we end up, the people who are paying for their food end up paying more. So it's another form of, well, I guess it's like the shoplifting version of inflation. So that's kind of one of them big problems that's going on out there. I don't know what we can do to sort of solve it. It's other than get inflation under control. So it's kind of interesting. Let's see. The thief is even high as well. Okay. And yet stores will throw out expired food instead of giving it a huge discount a couple of days before expiration. It's nuts. Yeah, that does happen. Now, some stores, though, if you see food that is close to expiration, sometimes if you take it to customer service, they'll give you a discount because they know they're going to throw it out. So sometimes if you're just proactive that way, I've known people who will go to, like, for example, the meat thing and look for something that's like maybe got a day left on it. Because even if it's got a day left on it, you then go to customer service, say, hey, look, this is going to expire. You guys are going to be throwing this out, by tomorrow. Can you give me a discount for me to take it off your hands today? A lot of times they'll give you maybe, let's say they give you, even if they gave you 15, 25% off, you can just take that home, freeze it, and then have it when you want it. So, it's one of those ways that you can save money in a grocery store. Because a lot of times they want to make the money. They don't want to throw it out. But at the same time, I think the reason they throw a lot of that expired food out is that they also don't want to, they just don't want that manpower. And I don't think they don't want people to sort of always be expecting it too. So it's kind of one of these things. I hate to see a situation where expired food ever gets thrown out. Not when we got food banks that are crying for donations. There's definitely a lot of places, but the problem is with a food bank is when you get foods that as it's expiring, it's sometimes really hard to get it through that process. Because I volunteered before at a food bank and I've seen how much time it takes just to get the stuff in, sorted out. So you don't have a big window. But yeah, no, one of the things, here's an interesting little story. When I used to live in Vancouver, in the mornings, McDonald's, what they used to do there is they would take their food from the night before and they would take it out in the morning and give the burgers, whatever burgers were left over, they give them all to the homeless people. And instead of throwing them out. And I thought that was a good thing. I'm not saying it's the best food in the world, but it's one of those things. It's one of those things that I thought was very commendable. And Jill says you see those 50% stickers pretty much everywhere. Yeah, I see. Well, I don't spend a lot of time in grocery stores. I mean, to be honest, most of the time we just order our food and have it delivered. But yeah, I imagine there's a lot of different stores that are putting those there. Like, as money becomes an issue, I don't think stores want to be throwing this stuff out anyway. So if they can get anything for it, it's, if they don't do it themselves, take it up to customer service, see what you can do. Maybe you can save yourself some bucks. So that's not a bad idea. All right. Holy banana bread. All right. So we're getting close to the end here. So if you guys got any final burning questions, throw them into the chat. And as you guys do that, I'm going to make one last attempt to try not to give myself a membership. I'm like, holy banana bread. All right. I'll try this one more time and let's see what happens. All right. Well, now we're just waiting to see. Da, 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 da. There we go. A real person. A real person. Jordan Alsop, you are now a channel member for 1 month. Congratulations, bud. I don't know if you're here, but at least I know I know you're in the chat quite a bit. So that is fantastic. Woohoo. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Wow, that's a great way to end the show, I think, with that. And if anybody has something positive to sort of say so that we can end on, because I like those positive comments. And we'll do that. While we're waiting for that, just quickly update once again what's going on this week. So tomorrow's video is top 10 gainers, stocks on fire in my portfolio. Thursday, we got Air Canada versus Transat. Oh, on Saturday, I actually had a request to do a CPP video. So CPP and OAS, like, should you take it early? What are the ramifications of taking it early? What are the ramifications of waiting until you're 70? So we're gonna do that for Saturday. And we also got Jill's video, I think, and I think it's probably going to be dropping either Tuesday or Wednesday. And I even have a short coming out this week too. So we got a whole bunch of stuff going on. And Jill says, hit the like button. Absolutely. Red or green tomorrow? I'm going to be an optimist and I'm going to go green. Going to say we're going to have a green day tomorrow because, we got lots of time to go red when people start panicking as we get closer to February and that Fed hit. And that's it exactly. So I have to edit it. So I'll probably be editing it tomorrow when I get a chance in between trading and things like that. So it will probably be, like I said, Tuesday or Wednesday. Maybe I'll try for Tuesday because I think that would be kind of fun. But we'll get her video out as soon as possible. So yeah, I think I have it in a folder now. I just have to go in and do all of the editing and all that fun stuff. All right. So anyway, guys, it has been fantastic. I'm so happy that you guys are all here today. And I'm also really grateful for all you people who are watching this on replay. You guys rock as well. And here's the beautiful thing. When I do gift memberships, I think it looks at the channel from what I'm seeing. I think it's looking at the channel opposed to the chat. So I think even if you're not here, so if you're one of those people watching at home, I think you have a chance of winning. So anyway, that's kind of cool. And for you, Jordan, if you're catching this on the replay, check out the videos. You can, as you're a member, you can check out all the past videos that I've put out and all of that fun stuff. And, we got one more thing. Hello, Candace. It would be nice to see the free cash flow in your analysis. Okay. I can probably do that. Awesome. All right. There we go. Oops, no, it's still on. Okay. Anyway, everybody, I'm gonna jet from here right now. So you guys all have a fantastic week. And we're gonna end on Jill today since she has her positive comment. Have a great week. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. And it's been fantastic. We'll see you guys here again next week because I love hanging out with you guys. It's always so much fun. Until then, take care, and we'll see you all very soon. Bye.